Hi, it's Jess Goldynfinch, an intuitive reader, a mystical artist, budding astrology student, former school teacher, and your somewhat dicey oracle. What do I mean by dicey? Am I implying that our time together is going to be fraught with danger and somewhat risque? No, not at all, unless a black cat crossing your path is too much to handle. In all seriousness, what I mean by dicey is that I'm embracing a bit of unpredictability with our time together. As much as I love the pick a pile or the weekly forecast and I gobble those up myself, I feel like we're going to follow birdsong and just kind of see where our messages take us from moment to moment, really right before I press pause. So here's where today's message bubbled up from. Earlier this morning, I did my personal pull for a tarot challenge that I'm doing on Instagram, hosted by Lindsay Mack, Tarot for the Wild Soul. Many of you might be familiar with her work. And I pulled the King of Cups, and the King of Cups has been repeatedly knocking on my door. So I know what the personal message is for me in terms of leadership, pulling my heart up and out. But as I was going to put the card back in the deck, it just wouldn't go. And this kitty cat, this kind of somewhat sassy cat, kept tapping on this card and implying that there was indeed a message for the collective. So we are honoring the birdsong, we're honoring this thread, and we're going to run with it. So what we have here is the cat has 3 cards in front of them. You will see a moon card in the middle. I personally think it's significant that it is a waning crescent. And then on either side, we have the 3 of hearts, which is a nod to tarot. And then on the other side, it's more of an oracle card, perhaps, where we have this little sprout coming up from the ground, which could also be a nod to perhaps the Ace of Pentacles in a tarot deck. So I'm just gonna let Sassafras cat just kind of wash over you, see if there's anything coming through for you in particular. So although we are rapidly approaching a full moon this week, full moon in Aquarius, the cat has their paw resolutely on this center card, this waning moon. And what is coming through for me is, since the waning crescent moon is facing the 3 of hearts, I feel like implying that it's time now to start removing those swords. That waning crescent moon moving towards the dark moon, then the new moon, where we then tend to plant seeds, have a fresh start. So it's this really almost insistent, I feel like they're being quite insistent that it is time. And I always tend to look at the 3 of hearts differently depending on a spread, depending on the question, the inquiry, depending on the day, depending on what else is interacting around it. But right now, what's coming through with those 3, and I'm thinking this is most likely coming through because we are all, and I'm confident in saying that we are all in the midst of chaos and conflict and crisis. For some of us, for all of us, that is collective. For some of us, that is as well as what's going on in our personal lives. And what's coming through with those 3 swords is pull 1 to keep. You keep one of them to fight with. And I don't mean slashing literally violence to violence. What I mean is as that reminder from that anger, from that heart wound, one of the swords are kept to fight with, to have that warrior heart of, I will fight for this cause, I will be an advocate. So keep a sword for that. Another sword is coming through as pull it out, think really long and deep about what was the lesson around that wound, around that hurt, that you can then use to aerate the soil for this new beginning, for this fresh air that wants to come in. So one is for advocacy, one is to aerate. There's that lesson there, right? And I had this image of using it. I'm an apartment witch, so it's been a while since I've had to spend time doing yard work, but I know there's a special tool that you use to aerate the ground in preparation so that more moisture can come in and to oxygenate it. And that's what's coming through for that second sword. And the third sword, who or what has been knocking at your door to say, give me that sword. Let me help carry it. Or let me help look at it with you. I feel like for some of us, somebody or something again is coming in to say, let me help. I want to be of service. Allow me to be an ally, to help carry or to take a burden or to dissect it together. We can use swords to chop things up into teeny tiny little bits and really dissect it. And maybe it's an invitation for you to do that in maybe therapy, or it's time to reach out to a friend. It's time, right? We have that waning crescent. This call is coming in to release so we can set new intentions going forth. Where we have this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful little sprout just waiting to be nourished and wanting to come through. No wonder this sassy cat was speaking so loudly, because that really is the spiral of constantly moving through, releasing, bringing something in, calling something in. And obviously we can't release everything. There are things, real serious things that just simply can't be released, but they can be dealt with. And we can, with that one advocacy sword, grip it and step forward in some way and take an action towards dealing with whatever is most heavy on your heart right now. So speaking of heavy heart, we're going to, if you're still with me, I sure hope you are, because I am so looking forward to building community together. So for that heavy heart, we're going to be using some flower essence in some water, some vibrational medicine to meditate on, to maybe carry with you the rest of your day. If you're watching this the day that it's released, a week from now, a month from now, a year from now, the message I'm sure still applies, and this vibrational medicine is still for you, is still for us, still rippling out. Time isn't linear, just rippling and nourishing, or at least that's my great hope and intention. So I'm going to be using some personal products that I've purchased from an apothecary. If you're interested in where I get some of my things, I'll include show notes so that you'll know which decks I'm using, products that I'm using, and no, I'm not getting any kind of money or kickback for it, but I know when I watch, I'm such a curious cat, back to the cat, that I sometimes like, oh, something sparks for me and I want to kind of go down that rabbit hole and maybe learn about the thing myself or purchase the thing myself. So I will give you that opportunity in the show notes down below. So for this heart, this broken heart that we're all experiencing collectively, a little bit of balm that we can put on it for this moment is borage. So I'm going to be adding 3 drops of that. 2, 3. And then to nourish this freshness, this optimism, this sense of hope of building something new that's so crucial in order to do the hard work, we have to continue nourishing ourselves, nourishing our passions, nourishing one another, our communities, the earth that's gracing us with so many gifts. So for that, we're going to be adding 3 drops of pink hollyhock. So again, we are anchoring into where our message sparked from, and that's from this card that insisted on showing up for you all today. And while we let this vibrational medicine start rippling, let me read to you what was said about both. So for the borage flower essence, the intention behind this vibrational medicine is to relieve the sensation of heaviness that may be physical, emotional, or spiritual. May it help dislodge long-held grief, anger, and hurt, and be replaced with a sense of lightness and possibility. Again, there's that nod to that sprout, to that Ace of Pentacles, to that seed that wants to come through. So this will also help us nourish optimism and provide courage to deal with those 3 swords. And then the pink hollyhock. Already the pink hollyhock just makes me think of like bubbling effervescence, right? That the world around us, frankly, can oftentimes really try to kill out of us, to diminish, and of course it does. And we have to be intentional about how we nourish it so that it can shine forth. And what comes through here from the herbalist, pink hollyhock, this flower essence is reminiscent of pink champagne and connected to fairy realms. This is a joyful, light, and bubbly remedy that brings joy and expansiveness. May we all feel that. Cheers. Until next time, tweet tweet.